Hello everybody, welcome to the video. So this week I'm going to be talking about the dangers of a cashless society, and I'm going to start the video by telling you a personal story. If you watched the last video that I uploaded on my channel, I mentioned that I was currently going through something where my rights as an individual and my rights as a citizen were under attack, and I said that once that saga had ended, I would make it all public. Well, now the saga has ended, and I've already spoken about what happened on Mark Collett's YouTube channel, but I also want to talk about it in this video because it's really relevant to the topic of this video. So about a month ago, I was in town in Leeds city centre and I tried to pay for my shopping on my card in a shop and my card declined. I tried it again and it declined again, and I definitely had money in my account. I'd actually checked my bank balance that morning, so I said, I'm really sorry, I'll go outside to the cash point and I'll draw some money out and then I'll come back in and pay for my shopping. So I went to the cash point and it wouldn't work. It said unable to process this transaction or something like that, and I tried another cash point just down the road and it did the same thing, it just wouldn't work. So I tried to open the banking app on my phone and it just said error and closed. So I was like, okay, obviously something's wrong with my bank account. So I went into the branch and explained what happened. And the cashier that I spoke to was like, I've never seen this before. And he kept going around the back and he was on the phone and he was talking to the manager. And I waited at the counter for about an hour. Eventually the manager called me into his office and he said, I'm going to read a statement out to you. I'm not allowed to tell you anything else. I'm only allowed to read this statement out for you. And that's it. So he read this statement out and it said something like, we have locked your bank account. We can't give you any further information about why we've locked your bank account. We might be in touch in the future with further information, but we don't know when that will be. So I was like, what? Like, obviously I knew I hadn't done anything wrong and I tried to get some more information out of him, but he just wouldn't tell me anything. The only thing that he did say is he told me that it wasn't fraud, because apparently if it is fraud, it comes up on the screen and says fraud, and he said that that wasn't there, but he wouldn't tell me anything else. So I asked if I could have some money out of my bank account. He said no, he wasn't allowed to give me any money. So I was like, well, how am I supposed to get home? Because I live, I think, about 8 to 10 miles away from the city centre. I also said, how long is this going to go on for? Because I need to access my bank account to be able to pay my bills and buy food and travel and stuff like that. And he wouldn't tell me anything. He was just like, I don't know. Anyway, long story short, this went on for 3 weeks. My account was locked for 3 weeks. Nothing could go into it and nothing could come out of it. I couldn't pay my rent, my standing order didn't go out, none of my direct debits came out, they all started adding extra fees on because payments were missed. I couldn't access any of my cash at all. I complained to the bank and they sent me a letter saying they weren't interested in my complaint and they wouldn't be taking it any further. I phoned up a few times trying to talk to them, seeing if any progress had been made, and each time they either just read the statement out to me that the manager in the bank had read out to me, or the phone would just go dead. I'm not sure if they cut me off on purpose or if it was an accident, but that happened a few times. After 3 weeks I phoned up and the man on the phone said something about my account being closed. I asked him why it had been closed and he put me on hold for ages, and then he came back and the phone went dead. So I decided to go into the branch and speak to them about it. I went into the branch and explained everything from start to finish. They told me that my account had already been closed. It was closed a couple of days ago and they'd posted me a letter about it. They'd actually posted me 2 letters, so it was one for my current account and one for my savings account. The lady in the bank told me that they'd agreed to give me the balance that was in my account, so I was like, thanks, that's nice of you, thanks for agreeing to give me my own money. And on the letter that they'd posted me, they had included a cheque for my bank balance. So again, I was like, what am I supposed to do with a cheque? I don't have a bank account anymore. But the lady in the branch was actually really helpful and she printed me off a copy of the letter that I'd been posted. And here is a picture of the print off which she printed off for me in the branch. I'll show the actual letters in a moment. So the letter says, Dear Miss Tyree, very important, we've closed your Santander account. We want to let you know that we can't offer you banking facilities anymore, so we've closed your account today. Under the terms and conditions of the account, we can withdraw banking facilities at any time and, in line with our company policy, we don't give further information about how we've made that decision, what we've done, and then it says we've enclosed a cheque for insert amount to settle your balance. The actual 2 letters that I received in the post did have the amount on, but this one that she printed off for me in the branch didn't. And then it says, "Thank you for your cooperation. Yours sincerely, Santander Operations." I sat with the lady in the branch for about 30 minutes and we went through all my transactions for the last 2 years. She said that I was managing my account really well. I'd never had any debt. I'd never even had an overdraft or anything like that. And she said that there was nothing on my statement which stood out to her as being dodgy. So a few days later, the letters arrived in the post. Each one had a cheque attached. I've covered up anything that's personally identifiable for security reasons. Just to give a little bit more evidence, here are 2 pictures of the cheques that I received, one for my savings account, one for my current account. And also in the post, I received a closing statement. So the closing date on my account seems to be the 25th of September. So basically, that's it. I had my account closed after an investigation that went on for about 3 weeks, and my colleague Mark Collett had the same thing happen to him. His account has also been closed. During that time, I was basically treated like a criminal. I was told nothing. I couldn't access my own money. I couldn't function like a normal member of society. I was basically unpersoned. Because of the coronavirus restrictions that we're under at the moment, a lot of businesses in the United Kingdom are card only. You can't use cash, and I couldn't, during these 3 weeks, use most facilities. I couldn't shop at most shops. Now, luckily, about a year ago, I did a stream with Morgoth and Keith Woods, and on that stream, we spoke about the dangers of a cashless society. Since I did that stream, I've always made sure that I had some cash stored in the house. Not a lot, but enough for emergencies. So luckily, when I lost access to my account, I did have some cash which I could use, even though, as I've just said, not all shops would take cash. I also live with my fiance and I also have a very supportive family, so I was okay, I could cope. But if that happened to somebody who hadn't stored some cash or somebody who didn't have any family to support them, then that person would be absolutely screwed. How would they survive? And the banks just don't care. One point that I really want to make in this video to anybody who's listening to this could happen to anybody and they don't need to give a reason why they lock you out of your account or close your account. Please make sure that you take suitable measures so that if this ever happens to you, you are okay. So this could be storing cash in your house. It could be making sure that you have another bank account so that you can transfer your direct debits over. Or you might want to look into things like cryptocurrency or purchasing gold or silver. Just make sure that you're not in a position where you have one bank account and all of your money is in that account, because if you get that taken off you, how are you going to function? In the title of this video, I've referred to the dangers of a cashless society. We seem to be edging towards becoming cashless in the United Kingdom, and this has really been amplified recently with the coronavirus restrictions. If the restrictions lift, will we go back to cash, or will many places stay cashless? We really do seem to be heading in that direction. A few years ago, you couldn't pay for the bus or pay for a taxi unless you had cash. But today it's all pay by card and they seem to prefer that method as well. The bus drivers get proper mardy with you if you try to pay by cash. If we go entirely cashless, what happens if the state or your bank decides, and remember this could happen to anybody, what happens if they decide that you're not allowed a bank account, like they did with me? How are you going to operate as a functioning member of society in a cashless society if you're not allowed a bank account? And not only does the government or the banks have the power to control what you're able to do, but if we do go cashless, then they also have the power to monitor everything that you do, where you go, what you spend, what you buy, etc., etc. I think this is absolutely terrifying. And you might be thinking, well, Laura, you're a far-right extremist. That won't happen to the majority of people. Well, don't you think that's even worse? What if this scares regular people from speaking up about the things that I talk about on this channel? And that's the reason why I made this video, really, because I want more and more people to speak out, but I also want those people to be prepared for what could happen to them. I'm not the first person that this has happened to. I was speaking to Lana Lochte from Red Ice and she told me that she'd had a few bank accounts closed down. I know that Brittany and Martin Sellner have been through the same thing as well. Obviously Mark went through it at the same time as me, so I think this is something that we can expect to see more and more of in the future. And I don't know what the solution is, apart from starting our own bank and also supporting each other when we go through something like this, especially people who don't have a family to help them out. I want to finish by saying that Mark and I have spoken to a solicitor and we have a plan. We can't make it public just yet because our enemies watch these videos, but we will make it public as soon as we can. And it might work, it might not work, we don't know, but we'll let you know either way. And just to confirm, none of this deters either of us from doing the work that we do. It actually makes us more determined because it confirms for us the things that we already knew all along. It confirms for us the threats that we're facing and the fact that things need to change. I'll leave it there for now. Look after yourselves and I'll see you again next Sunday. Bye bye.